Instead of giving presents, Santa now puts things that you lost, or were stolen from you, under the tree. What would you be the most excited to see under the tree? There will be a lot of bikes under my tree. What are you, Dutch? The Ewok pillowcase my mum made for me when I was 6. I gave it to my son and he loved it and used it at my ex's house. She wouldn't return it after the breakup. I would positively explode with joy if Santa brought him one. Well, isn't it your property? I think Santa is about to become a lawyer. This whole thread is heartbreaking. Was definitely expecting way more and way better virginity jokes. Mr. S. Klaus Hofer, attorney at law, versus the ex-abusive manipulator at No More. When I was 8, my great-grandfather, the most important man in my life, gave me 3 real steel pennies from WW2. I added them to my coin collection and protected them with my life. Very shortly after my parents divorced and I left my coin collection with my father, who kept the original house, mother move. I was going to be moving a lot with my mom and didn't want to lose them. About 6 months later, my father dated a woman that was absolutely batshit nutcase. She got drunk while my father was working and burned down his house. It was a mobile home, so it was gone within a matter of seconds. I spent hours rummaging for them when I was finally able to come home for the summer. I had lived in another state at that point and didn't have the means to come sooner. I never found them. I never found my vast collection of coins I spent years putting together. I never found those damn steel pennies. Not only was I heartbroken from the loss, but because they were coins. I was really hopeful and was really expecting to find him as one of the few things that survived. I didn't. I've never cried harder. My great-grandfather passed away about a year ago now. I also lost the last recording I had of him speaking to me. I miss my Papa Ralph. I wish him, his coins and his voice were going to be under my tree this year. I really fucking wish. When I was 6 years old, I accidentally left my brother's favorite book in a playground several hours' drive from our house. When we realized the book wasn't in the car and my mom wasn't going to turn back for it, my brother cried the whole ride and for days after. If I could, I would ask for the book back for him. To reply to some of the questions. My brother was around 7 or 8 at the time. The book was a coloring sticker book from the 1974 Shazam series. It was given to him by one of my mom's friends as we were living in Germany at the time and English language books were hard to come by. This was one of the reasons he was so upset about it at the time, because he knew we couldn't just get him a new one. It was an odd book to have even at the time, as we were in the mid to late 80s at this point. I don't remember exactly what the book was called, but I remember it vividly and have looked for it on again off again over the years once the internet came around. I have since given several nice German books to my brother's daughter as he is hoping to raise her bilingual, in part to make up for this and in part because I love books. Thank you for all the comments. I've enjoyed reading about everyone's favorite childhood books. When my daughter was born last November, a friend made her a very soft hooded blanket. A few months ago, some asshole decided to steal it from her while we were in Walmart. I would cry to find it under the Christmas tree for her. I wouldn't mind finding the asshole under the tree too. I mean, who the hell steals a blanket from an infant? Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Dude, I want back my clear purple Game Boy Advance with the Pokemon Gold cartridge and nightlight attachment still on it. That would be a rad gift. The neighborhood bullies stole it from me when I was a kid. Sad face. Edit. Heart goes out to all my brothers and sisters with lost, stolen Game Boys out there. Broken heart. My deceased mother's wedding rings, which were stolen by my dad's ex-wife, his second wife. Edit, my mother died suddenly when I was 17, leaving my dad with 4 daughters. He remarried and married his high school sweetheart who manipulated and abused him and my sisters for 5 years. The day we think she took the rings was the day she moved out, and right before she physically assaulted me. I would give anything to have something of my mother's. She didn't have much to leave behind. That one's piece to my tie silencer Lego set. My mother collected one Christmas ornament for me in a box every year from birth until I graduated from college, then gifted me the box when I went to set up my own home. 4 years later, my then-boyfriend mistakenly took the box to Goodwill. I always get a little sad every year at this time, even 10 years later. My grandmother's wedding ring. She passed about 10 years ago and I was very close to her. I've no idea where it went. My childhood teddy bear. My dad used to work at a stuffed animal factory, and it was a reject because the paws didn't turn out right. I took that thing everywhere. He even had stitches in his neck from a teddy bear repair center that was set up by a local hospital. When I was 12, I went to a sleepover at a friend's house. While there, we got in a huge fight. Her mom called my mom, and I went home without my bear. We called and asked him to search for my bear, but her mom was a royal bitch and immediately got defensive, saying I was accusing her daughter of stealing and she would not stand for it. We even tried to go back, but they threatened my mom as soon as we started down their driveway. They never looked for my teddy, but I knew it was there. I never got him back. My friend and I never spoke again, and we moved out of state shortly after. It's been over 20 years, and I still think about him and how much he meant to me. I'm crying just typing this. I miss my teddy so much. My ability to produce insulin. My ability to produce serotonin. My ability to produce dopamine. My ability to reproduce. My dad is the 3rd person in his family to have his name carried down generation after generation from my great-grandfather. When we were little, my granddad stopped by one day and passed on to my dad the family ring with their initials embroidered into it. It was emotional and he was very happy. Later that night, my brothers and I lost a frisbee in a tree. My dad is the ultimate DIYer, so he rigged up a football that he would throw into the higher branches and then yank on it with a rope he had attached to free the frisbee. It eventually worked and it was a funny little scene. Later that night he realized his ring was gone. He assumed tossing the football again and again had loosened it up and it probably flew off his hand. He would go around that tree constantly for years to come looking for that ring. He even bought a heavy-duty metal detector to try and find it. No luck. I would hope Santa would finally cut the guy a break and give that ring back. A personalized, signed copy of a book I was gifted from an author I met at a conference about my favorite president. I made the mistake of carrying it in a basic reusable shopping bag, and someone accidentally grabbed it at an event. They never returned it, and it was really special to me because I met the author by chance both searching for Coke products in a Pepsi hotel, and she was really kind and surprised me with it through her assistant months later. Time stolen by my last employers. Fuck those guys. My first wife and daughter. Stolen from me by a drunk driver in 1983. My best friend and I invented a radio show called The Insane Family, and we would do skits and record him on my Talkboy. The characters were an extended family living in the same house, grandparents, parents, and 3 kids. Everybody was completely insane except for the teenage daughter, who was always dying of embarrassment. One of the grandparents was incontinent and had a terrible memory, so a lot of the skits involved finding Grandpa's potty chair in weird places. We were inspired by the Animaniacs and the Munsters, and probably a few other things. I'd really love to listen to that tape with my friend. I'm sure it would be hilarious and horrible. TLDR, the crazy pretend radio show we recorded on cassette tape in the mid-90s. My old Game Boy Color I lost in New York when I was 6. I had very vivid memories of playing nothing but game and watch for hours. That and this weird book on how things worked, from ramps to binary, but it used mammoths. I just always liked reading it. So much honestly. Number 1 would probably be my old Pokemon cards. My class ring. I lost in way back in the 90s. It's probably in the landfill, but fingers are crossed it's buried somewhere in my parents' backyard. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Reddit content.